Well, a very good evening and welcome to the Desert Horse Park for the start of this second week of the international shows as part of Major League Show Jumping here at this wonderful venue. A little switch around from last week. Those of us joined us last week saw us on the turf, and this time we're under lights in the stadium here for evening classes right the way through this week, and we have got a big packed week coming up for you. Tomorrow sees the final of the team competition. Today sees the big Jumpoff TALUS class, sponsored class, the welcome Jumpoff here tonight. $72,900 in the prize fund and a super combination to start us off. Grand Prix winning combination, in fact. And Californian Ashley Bond, Donatello 141 from originally Little Valley Farms. The owners here. 10-year-old by Diorado for the rider representing Israel. Based over on the East Coast, but of course for a long time here, home base of California. And it is a fantastic combination that have already gone to a Grand Prix win this season. That was in Natomi a few weeks ago, giving us the guiding run around this course set by Alan Wade here this evening. Alan Wade, the course designer for the World Equestrian Games in 2018. That's built pretty well all around the world and continues to be one of the leading lights in the course designing of many of the courses around the world. Great influencer. And for this round so far, just touching the horses' heads there, the fence. A little bit of shine off that under the lights here tonight. I think it's a little bit different first time, I think, under these spectacular lights. Fantastic arena for this culmination of a big week. Just round on the four faults there, 73.76 for the first of our combinations out. Time allowed of 76 seconds in this jump-off class, this TALUS jump-off class here tonight as part of our big week of competition. And you start to get the format now. First day, big jump-off class. Second day, we'll see the team competition as our highlight. Third day, we'll see the Grand Prix here once again. And actually Sunday, if you're tuning in as well, to get the two-star Grand Prix in the afternoon as well. So all that part of our week here at the Desert Horse Park. The lights lit up though, and a fantastic week ahead. Also concerts to come, celebrations, all sorts of entertainment here for those competing. Mark Blumen joins us now. This is Gerardo Pascal's Chelin de Blondel for Mark coming into the international competitions here this week. Good to see him. And for that first round, well, it gives us a few clues, just touching on the four faults there for Ashley. Inside that time, but she's generally pretty quick as well. So again, it looks like they're going to have to be on their toes to be heading into that time allowed. But again, a few good efficient rounds, and they shouldn't have too much trouble with that. But Mark Blumen joining us here. Mark, who represents Colombia internationally, and for him, back here in action after last international outing in Aiken a few weeks ago, in the mid-part of November. The Premier Equestrian Oxzone. See Mark pretty efficient around the corner there too. Back to this water tray at 4. Little skip down there as they gather up. Vertical on the way out. 2 verticals into that double. 1 strider there at 5A and B. Major League once again, but he is very definitely not hanging around. Gets a tight run around what will be the last fence on course. The Caladay vertical, another tall vertical on track as those up to 150. And then through this interesting line, to say, just going to be a very delicate one to get down, especially the horse's head fence. Gold plank there, white, just a little bit of gold banding on, not so easy to focus on. And here this plain woodland fence, but is coming home on a very good run here. Just 1 fence to go. Plain black poles at the last. And he conquers that one. 71.05. And so really nice round from Mark. Kept on the gas all the way and gives us the first of the clears. So Mark Blumen in top class form here. And after a very good finish at the National Horse Show in the World Cup qualifier there, top 10 there a few weeks ago, back into early November as well. So Mark Blumen, second out of our lineup of 30 or so here this evening, and going to see just short of 40 in total in this class. And looking forward to a very good lineup. We've got Paul O'Shea coming up. Now Nasser, of course, who won the two-star Grand Prix for those following last week. He won a Grand Prix before that in Wellington. So that's 2 in the last 2 weeks. Adrian Sterlicht. We've got a whole lineup in here, including McLean Wardsdan, Connor Swale, Sam Walker, looking at some of the younger talent in there. Charlie Jones comes in for the first time as well. And down to Bliss here is Nicky Gallagher with some good finishes last week as well. And the last few looking to Carl Cook as one of the Californian combinations to maybe shake up this class as well. Another of the local combinations from Los Angeles now is going to be Misty Kassar. And after a superb set of results in the last few weeks, featuring in those World Cup shows as well that were here in California, past World Cup finalist herself. And today with my Lord Cornet. Jumping through the classes here last week. Top 3 in that World Cup qualifier in Sacramento in the early part of October, in fact. They followed on that to be part in Las Vegas as well. Not quite the run they wanted there, but a few adjustments, and back we go. And again, very different run this week for the riders. On the turf for the first time last week. Beautiful grass arena. Out in the sunshine. And then completely different surface this week, but superb surfaces, well maintained here at the Desert Horse Park. Gets out to give herself some space to that. And again, options down there. Looks like I think majority will probably go in the 8 direction in terms of striding. My Lord Cornet's 11-year-old By Montenda, which was a top-class European Championship winning ride. Again, just trying to settle into this line here. Still good at the moment. The question is whether time will come into this. Time allowed of 76 is going to look very squeaky right now. It's a good round out of them so far, but is going to be behind on that clock. Good round for them, but it's just going to get beaten by the time. Finishing on the 179.32. But after some solid rounds in recent weeks and a good move back into the top flight, it is a lovely round from them, but just finishing on the 1 time for the lot of delicacy in the course here. You've got to take the care, but just catching on the time as well. So Misty Kassar finishing on the 1 time. Mark Blumen giving us the clear to kick us off. Luis Sabino Gonzalez to go now. And Luis, normally based in Portugal, but this year has been based out here in the USA, mainly here in California, in fact. Heading for the Californian Sunshine. World Championship rider, last World Games in 2018. A couple of the big championships, including being gold at the Mediterranean Games the year before that. It's around about 6-7 times at the European Championships, including last time around in Rotterdam. Again, has been behind the production of horses that have gone on, not just with him, but with a host of riders onto the top flight as well. This is Argan de Bellard. Horse that ran actually to 4th in that World Cup qualifier indoors a few weeks ago in Las Vegas. Again, new circuit for him, but he's certainly settling into it. Stint in Tryon before that, the World Cup qualifiers there. 11-year-old by my Lord Cartago. Just sets up nicely for that double of verticals. You can see 1 or 2 just trying to make up a little bit of time around here. Goes a little bit wider. Mark Blumen was very tight around that, what will be final fence. And they've got to get up for that tall vertical at the Calais. Again, each of them just coming a little bit on the turn over the Cabana Coast fence. Careful not to get forward with that vertical on the way in. Looking good so far, but again, he's just going to run a little bit squeaky on the time. and solidly around the course, but 76.99 means one time as well for Luis Simino Gonçalves and Arganda Belair. So another nice round from them, and a combination that have been together for quite some time now. I say previously competing in Europe until early this year, and electing this year to make US the home base. So Luis, just the 1 point for him. Same for Misty Cassar and Milord Cornet. Irish rider Paul O'Shea now, the man who's been the driving force at the front end. Coach, as he's known within the Eye Candy team. The teams for the Major League Jumping Team competition coming up tomorrow. They're the team that lead the championship. Interestingly, Paul is going to be in the coaching seat. He is sitting out tomorrow, but he's going to be down on the ground encouraging the rest of the team, it looks like. That's the plan. Hellcat for the Eye Candy team, the 10-year-old by Cassander Van Het Bremhoff. Been moving this horse up into the 5 stars in the last few weeks. Competed down in Mexico in the 5 stars there. Of course, he had that Grand Prix win with Chancelloress as well. But Hellcat has been a good one for them. Finished on the podium for the teams in Monterrey as well, in Monterrey La Silla. Paul, a really good rider to give them a lovely sympathetic ride, encourage, give a horse confidence around the course. I say those first 5 stars for this horse in October this year. Just again, doesn't want to dally too long. Should just about get there. Well, he's going to be very much on the edge of time. And for him, it's a very nice round put together, 78.37, but it's going to be the same result. It's going to see them with the 1 digit on the scoreboard, Paul O'Shea, and his ride there. In fact, it was Emerald van Voorhoff, a little change in there. And it is Emerald van Voorhoff for the Emerald Partners. And Equestrian Farms, 13-year-old by Emerald. And for them, again, one that hasn't had too much exposure yet. Lovely to see one of the next generation from Emerald once again. And for Paul, again, similar discussion. Produces the horses through very nicely. Gives the horse a lovely round there to give them a good shot. But a little more experience. The 13-year-old there, Emerald van Voorhoff for Paul O'Shea. Also jumped in the 2 stars here last week in preparation. Otherwise had a bit of a break in the middle part of the year. Niall Nassar now, and Niall with the Evergate Stables, Igor van der Wittemore for the 13-year-old Belgian bred by Cooper van der Heffing. Niall, following on, as I say, 2 Grand Prix wins in 2 weeks, nicely. 3-star Grand Prix in Wellington, Florida. He was riding down the horse he rode at the Olympic Games this year as well, individual top 25 there. And then last week, winning the 2-star Grand Prix with Oaks Redwood. It's also the same horse that he won that Grand Prix in Wellington with, so it would be a nice, again, step up the ladder to try and take home some of the big 5-star classes here this week. Maybe that Grand Prix here on Saturday as well. Saturday evening reminder. He's part of the Diamond Devils team as well. Niall also on this ride putting that nice Grand Prix to again win together back in October at Greenwich. So it's really been knocking in the number 1 slots in the last few months since those games in Tokyo. Again, finding they just can't put too much pace on down that line. It's a little bit of a delicate one. Nicely done. Time-wise, he's looking in much better shape. Still not going to be a million miles inside it, but going to be timed hopefully just enough. There we go, 75.76. And it is the second of the clears. Just felt like a long time getting to that last fence. It takes a little while to get to it. And there we go. It is on the clear, 75.76 for Niall. And Igor van der Wittemore. So, gives us the second of the clears. Mark Blumen, Niall Nassar so far. 3 of those have gone very close with the 1 time fault. So it seems they're getting the hang of this course so far. Amy Miller and Truman. Good finishes for them last week as well as part of this first week in thermal as they return to action here for the big competitions in the Major League Jumping. Of course, they've been a key part also of the Eye Candy team throughout the season. Amy herself, who's ridden right the way through to the Olympic Games in 2016. A pair that finished 4th in last week's Grand Prix as well. And in fact, she was 5th previously in the Grand Prix in Caledon. But that was back in September. Took a little break from international competition then until that first week here in the desert. Again, just a nice rhythm through there. On the toes, down on the 8. Reaches across the Major League fence. And again, they've just got to have enough power over that big vertical on the water tray. Again, 4 and 5 strides down that line. Just comes up well for them. But again, just got to wait for them. Which again is just pushing you against the clock all the time. Ooh, a touch there, but I think that stayed in place. Time-wise, should just get there. Going to be a little bit touch and go. And I think it's going to be just enough. 75.92. And squeaking in there, they go for the next of the clears. It is the third of the clears so far. And that going to Amy Miller. Well done to her. So inside that time allowed of 76, just by a little tick of the clock. And 75.92 gives us clear round number 3. But say following on from several top 5 finishes in the Grand Prix so far this season. And as a key part of the Eye Candy squad. Lauren Huff, Kathleen K. Mines, Paloma, 15-year-old by Canaletto for the US Olympian. Lauren, who's been part of the squad for the Blazing Sevens this season. And for her, originally hailing from California. These bays based in Wellington, Florida. Again, nice setup for her at the recent shows in Wellington before heading out west. Several top 3s there. Certainly keeping the pace on here. Very good run in Traverse City back in September with this pairing as well. Major League stop there. Of course, we're at the final stage in stage 10. Just unfortunately not getting the height on that second part of the double. So just going to head home on the 4. Time will be pretty good. She kept the foot on all the way, and it's still only 74.31. That time allowed of 76. So just on the 4 there for Lauren Huff. and Paloma. Not seen big scores so far. We've seen 4s, 1s and 0s. And of those zeros, 3 of those at the moment with Mark Bloom and Nal Nassar and Amy Truman at this stage. Amy Miller with Truman at this stage. Mavis Spencer making her debut last week into the 5-star classes. Again, home base of California. And her making her mark in the horse industry, family through TV and film industry. And for her hard work paying off. Finished well last week, top 5. In fact, finished 4th to be exact in one of our big 5-star classes last week. And then the good thing gets to build on that this week as well with Icalis BH for the Rocking D Ranch, the 12-year-old Dutch bred by Namalassar. Again, all those rides that we've seen in summertime, they've really got efficient on the corners. Just unfortunately, maybe fraction forward coming into that line as they go over the water. Just has a little look at it again. The water trays under the lights can look different to during the day. And for some of these, first time under the lights as well. Not the first one to have that down. Again, being a build up towards the 5 stars, being competing in the World Cup shows recently. Going to be a bit to add for time as well. 79.24. Taking to 17 in total, 79.24 for Mavis Spence this time with Icalis BH. John Perez now with Tentacion LS Lacia. 9-year-old by Montebello LS for the Colombian. And being part of the Otomi Warriors this season, riding with the Rihan team. Daniel Jr. also been competing, and he now back at Miami at university there. Just really not a lot of touch of that, but just a final cut in to just have that down, unfortunately. Finished well with Voodoo 10 last week. Tentation has been his ride at the team competition, fittingly in Monterrey Lacia. Of course, the breeding of Lacia here with the LS and Lacia to follow. By Montebello LS. Just reaches through that double. That'll put them on the 8 as they go over the last. Little bit to add for time as well. Total of 9 overall, 76.36 for John Perez there, and Tentation LS Lacia of the clears so far. 3 of those. Mark Blumen, Nanasa, and Amy Miller at this stage. Time putting quite a lot of pressure on this evening as well. So just 1 or 2 errors coming in there as that time factor just brings another element into it. Again, seeing a few of the Californian faces that have been competing all over the country and even across Europe in the last few seasons. Natalie Dean being one of them. Marigold Sport Horses ride here in Coquelina, the 10-year-old by Conthagos. That's the breeding of Papillon Rouge. Began a riding career in San Francisco. A couple of years ago, it was individual bronze at the Young Rider Championships. But now for the 22-year-old, moved up into the big ranks as well. Second in the World Cup a few weeks ago in Las Vegas too. And also been making some big waves competing in some of the very big shows in the last few months. That's also including the Nations Cup at Spruce Meadows as part of the US team there. Again, just waiting down that line, but unfortunately, just very easy to get to the bottom of that Golden Horse's head fence, and unfortunately has the second part, well, has the back bar of the Cabana Coast Oxa 2. Time-wise will be good, but on the 4, in fact, on the 8 rather, and last fence cleared at that, but it is going to be one for time as well, 76.18, and it is a total of 9 there for Natalie Dean and Coquelina overall. So of the clears so far, 3 of those at the moment, Mark Blumen, Nanasa and Amy Miller still. Those on the 1. 3 of those at this stage. Of course, they won't be back for the jump-off, but getting very close. Vanessa Mannix for her first week with us. And for the Canadian, Katinka 25, 12-year-old by Katoki. The Canadian also has been competing in those recent World Cup shows. Hailing from the west coast of Canada. Long-time owner and supporter with Connor Swale as well. And unfortunately, just that line catching them. Finished top 10 in that recent World Cup qualifier in Vegas. Second in the qualifier in Vancouver. Back closer to home ground there at Thunderbird. The beautiful site of their showgrounds there up in Vancouver at Langley. Now she gets the pace on. But unfortunately on the 8 already. And handles one of the tougher parts of the course very well. Just sits up that vertical on the way in there to catch them, but they're not going to be inside the time, but with a couple of down already, doesn't matter. Just takes a look at something there. I say they're coming to those plain black poles, planking there as well at the last. So Vanessa going to come back to that one, I think. But unfortunately, chance is gone on the 12-year-old by Katoki. There we go. Takes a run at it. No problem at all this time. So 102.09 as a time means 19 in total. So time to add in there as well, 102.09 for Vanessa Mannix, Katinka 25, Mark Blumen, Nanasa and Amy Miller as the clears so far. Not such an easy passage, not too big, not some major scores. A couple of those getting a few more time to add into it to bring up the score a little bit further. But the time just putting the pressure on for this course at the moment. Delicacy needed. And, well, just catching them here, there. Nothing major, but just a little tweak here and there, costing 4. A few of those on 4, 3 of them on the one-time faults. Christian Heineking, the NKH LLC's Cento Blue. 11-year-old gelding by Centerdell. And out of the breeding of Gloria Blue, which was, guess what, by Chaco Blue. Christian in tremendous form to ride to the win in Monterrey for the Roadrunners team just a few weeks ago in Mexico. Gets keen down that line. Unfortunately has that Premier Equestrian oxer down. Christian again moving up a gear this season. Nice Grand Prix win in Ohio last year. One of the few having the first part of the palm or date line, whichever you want to determine it is. Takes a firm hold down to the Woodland double. Just the last, but again, it's already with a couple on the floor and a little bit of time to add there as well. 78.079 in total for Christian Heineking and NKH Cento Blue for the German rider based in Fort Worth in Texas. Again, Roadrunners out this week. Potential for them to take the championship if they can get a win behind them again here at the Desert Horse Park. There's going to be all sorts of connotations about how, well, I think it's 3, maybe 4 teams that could get the win here. Only one way to find out is to tune in to the team competition tomorrow evening as part of that final for Major League Jumping. So, 78.07 the time. Sean Cassidy now. And Corteshiko, the 9-year-old Oldenburg by Cortez. Out of Chandel by Chaco Blue for Sean. Sean we saw on the team several times this season as well, on the Crusader squad, and for Tiffany Sullivan here this evening. Sean, another of the Californian-based riders. Now, this is a good combination that finished in the top 5 in last week's 2-star Grand Prix. Moving up to the 5-star this week. But again, this is a good opportunity with the 2 weeks on the bounce to be able to test things out the previous week. Only jumped last week together as part of international shows. It's a 9-year-old. Okay, it's just a little stuck in that palm double. Reaches out, good test of scope over the last part. And just the last fence there. Time is going to be good, 73 rather, 37. But it is going to be a couple down on the way. It is 8 there for Sean Cassidy and Cortechio, or Cortechico, whichever way you go with it. And it is going to be on the 8 for the US rider. Still the 3 clears on the board in this evening's TALUS sponsored class. $72,900. Last week we had a real battle as well with Kristen van der Veen involved in that, as was Erin Ballard and McLean Ward. Eugenio Garza and Contago. Of course, rode the winning rounds last week in the team competition in a one-on-one battle with McLean Ward, owned by his parents David and Monica Garza, the 10-year-old by Kornet Obolensky, and of Cassandra for Eugenio, looking to build on that confidence from last week. It's been building nicely all the way through. In fact, it saw him go to 6th place in the Grand Prix last week as well with Victor Finn. Again, after Olympic duties back into August, joining us on the latter stages of the Major League Series. Sits quietly and nicely through that line. Should be okay for time. Looking to put another good round together. Very few having trouble with the last, and neither does he. And it's going to be enough as well, 75-18. So certainly coming back and staying on that purple patch. Eugenio Garza gives us the fourth clear round so far with Contagio. And so joining Amy Miller, Niall Nasser and Mark Blumen at this stage. 15 gone of the close to 40 to go in this class. Adrian Sterling now. Nice win for her last week as well with this pairing together in the winning round. Lafayette Vanoveris, 10-year-old for the Starlight Farms of Greenwich, Connecticut. By Kashmir van Schuterhof out of Houdini. No escapes needed. This is a very good combination together indeed. She finished well in the Grand Prix last week as well. Top 3 there with Benny's Legacy. And again, looking to build on what was a successful run of results last week. Again, didn't look much, but unfortunately that goes down. Just waiting for this double. And unfortunately just pace there looked potentially to just cause them an issue. So that goes down as well on the 8 at the moment. Gets a wide run here. Give themselves some space, quieten things down. Again, this is a line that they've got to be patient through. Only a couple of rails, but looking for a good finish here. There we go, and it is going to be time to add as well. It's 9 in total, 78.92, and 8 there in for jumping. 1 for time for Lafayette Vanoveris and Adrian Sternlich, looking to build on maybe that very good Grand Prix finish last week as well. She's going to be sitting out the teams, interestingly. She and McLean Ward not on the team for the Roadrunners this week. They're going back to a different format for the final. That leaves them a clear run, I suppose, to take a run at the Grand Prix and the other classes that we're going to be seeing throughout the week, including the what now, staple classes, winning rounds, speeds as well, all to come over the next couple of days. Lindsay Archer, Jumpoff for the Reese Farms LLC, another of the Californian natives who actually made a very good trip up to Michigan for a nice win back into the summer. Also put herself in the placings here last week too. Feeling very much at home amongst the company here. Finished second in last week's opening class. Nice win for her as well. As one of the classes in the 4-star in Sacramento. Belgian bred, 12-year-old by a Ghana seat. Really only her one big top ride and one more international horse that she rides right here in the early part of the year. And unfortunately just cuts back to spin out that pole. On this former French ride, could put them in the placings on the 4, and it's going to be a little bit more than that with time to add in there as well. 77.03, 5 in total for Lindsay Archer and Jumpoff for the Reese Farms this time around. So leaving us still with the 4 clears into round 2 at the moment. Lindsay Archer just finishing on the 5 there. Puts her into 10th place at this point. I think just waiting a little change in the order, I think, or a scratch in the order. Just waiting for confirmation of that. Still some very good ones to come that had a good run last week, including Connor Swale, Katie Laurie, Rowan Willis, Bliss Hears, a long way down, of course, Margie Engel coming into our last few, Carl Cook too. All ready to go yet into tonight's TALUS jump-off class. Looks like, I think it's going to be Connor Swale. Connor Swale with Vital Chance de la Roque. Horse that came from Aline Ecart, the Ecart family behind the horses with the de la Roque suffix to them. Connor Swale continually climbing up those world rankings as well. Finished second in the Grand Prix here last week with Count Me In. Is now very much in the teens in terms of Longines world rankings. Top 3 on the teams last week as well for the Eye Candy. Pressure could be on him this week as well to deliver the championship overall. We're not sure the order they're going to go in yet. For the Eye Candy squad, their first and foremost task will be getting into round 2. But done that plenty of times so far this season. On the 12-year-old by de Montesemi. Sits up, just holding for this vertical on the way in. Horse has jumped in a couple of the recent World Cups. He won 2 World Cups already this season. Notably in Canada and then here in California in Sacramento. Pretty quick and light on the toes all the way through. Little kick out there. Can't afford to waste the time. Whoa, steady for the last. Connor having to do a bit of work there. And it's enough. Oh, no, it's going to be the 4 there overall, because just that last part of the Woodland double coming down. And it is going to be 75-2-2. Finishing on the 4 there for Connor Swale. And Vital Chance de la Roque for them. So 4 it is for Swale this time around. Puts him into 10th place at the moment. Not too many on the 4, so a few of them just adding a little bit of time too as well. 3 of them on one time for Misty Cassar and Paul O'Shea and Luis Sabino Gonçalves. And then those 4 on the 0 score. Katie Laurie, 10-year-old by Lordano in Django II. Django II for the Australian, now based in Canada. Olympic Games in 2008, World Championships in Lexington, twice to the World Cup finals. Best finish, in fact, was 6th in 2011 on the very good Delphi. Been notching up, well, actually finished third in the 2-star Grand Prix here last week. This combination finished 8th in the 5-star Grand Prix as well. Put the wins together up in Calgary. It was only moved to Canada, I think it was early 2020. Then things all changed around globally. Very good run in Traverse City in Michigan in the early part of the year. Also, she brought over from Australia. Competed with her in the World Cups there back in 2019. She spent time also based in Europe and in the UK. Still looking good at the moment. Time is pretty good as well. Katie Laurie looking to build on what was a good week last week and should just get there for time. Yeah, she's okay, 73.83, and gives us the 5th of the clears, not unsurprisingly considering the form she's shown here last week as well. So there we go. It is going to be another clear in there, 73.83. So for Katie Laurie, Django the second, 73.83. Mark Blumen gave us the first of the clears. Niall Nassar, Amy Miller, Eugenio Garza, and now Katie Laurie make it 5. Halfway stage of this TALUS Welcome Jumpoff class here this evening, $72,900. Just a little breather for a moment, a little bit of a cooler evening here under the lights in the cloak of darkness. Once again, you can't quite see, obviously, this time around. During the day last week, you were seeing the beautiful mountain vista behind. Now we bring down the cloak behind, and you can see under the lights how this wonderful arena looks. So, team just putting the fences to one side. Tractors are going to head in, and we'll bring you the second half of round 1 in just a few moments' time. But 5 clears to date.
Equifair really takes a different approach to product development and to the materials that we use in our products. We're always looking outside to see what the sports world and medical worlds are doing, and we apply that to the equine athlete. We love horses, so that's just what really fuels us to do what we do.
I'm Danielle Toronto, and we are customers of Marshall and Sterling. They have been amazing for us, for our business. They take care of our farm, our horses, our cars. It's basically one-stop shopping for us.
I'm Jimmy Toronto. Unfortunately, we've actually had to really use Marshall and Sterling for horse deaths, and I have to say that Marshall and Sterling has been an amazing company. They have taken care of things. It's been worry-free. The person we deal with, Missy, she takes it all upon herself. Once we go to her with the claim, she does it all for us. And I have to say, since we've been with Marshall and Sterling, I just can't think of going anywhere else. I put all my trust, all my faith in them.
How do we help horses thrive? We tackle problems using science. Plus, our love of horses pushes us until we get it right. We're always innovating, always researching, even with our most established feeds. Our PhDs are dedicated to the scientific method, but to help a horse reach their full potential, you need both science and love, so your horse can live their best life.
When every second counts, the surface matters. Premier Equestrian features Pro-Tex footing product and Auto Sport base mats. Mats absorb up to 40% of the concussion. Pro-Tex provides maximum stability. Premier Equestrian is the official footing partner of Major League Show Jumping. Contact us about your arena at premierequestrian.com.
Caliday is the official outfitter of the Major League Show Jumping Series. Apparel providers to many of the top riders in the world as they compete for over $7 million in prize money. A series that takes place over 10 events at North America's premier show jumping venues. Caliday provides top quality products that give a modern take on the storied equestrian lifestyle. If you're attending events, come and visit us at each of the destinations where you can shop the entire Major League Show Jumping official clothing collection, or visit our website for more information.
People always ask it, how much of it is the horse and how much is the rider, and that's a really tough question. It's not always pushing one button and having something happen. It's each of us anticipating the other one's moves and trusting each other.
Getting us back underway and into the second half of this evening's class, $72,900 for the Welcome Jump-Off class, sponsored by TALUS. It is going to be Erin Davis-Heineking and Leonie for the October Hill Sales of Texas, the 12-year-old by Leo von Fels. For Erin, Grand Prix winner for her before now, and team horse for her two onto the team for the Roadrunners, the home team for the Desert Horse Park as well. Already seen her husband Christian around the course at this stage. And again, competition tough here this evening. 5 clears at the moment. Time proving quite a crucial factor. Just having to weight down some of those lines just makes things a little bit harder as well. Just possibly forward into that line there, just as they have that Major League Oxer down. Let's sit up, get the height and power underneath for the Golden Horses fence. Nicely down that line over the Cabana Coast, with the fence down, giving it a bit of width back to the Butterfly Oxer. Nice looking combination just on the 4 at the moment. Going to have a little bit of time to add as well, and going to be on the 4 there for them. And there it is. 2 for time, finishing on 6 there, 80.60 for Erin Davis-Heineken and Leonie for the October Hill sales. If you're just joining us, let's remind you the clears. Mark Blumen, Shalane de Blondel, Nanasa Igor van de Vitemor. It is Amy Miller of Canada, Truman, Mexico's Eugenio Garza and Contago, and Australia's Katie Laurie, Django II. That's keeping up the nations. No rider for the US yet, but I think a little way to go, and we'll see a few of those in there. Ireland to come out strong yet too, and we'll move on with a chance for the Irish with Andrew Burns and Sea Top Blue, 10-year-old Irish bred horse by Chaco Blue. Again, very much at home here last week on the turf. Now let's see if they can translate that under the lights. Again, not too many of these horses will have jumped to the lights. Beautiful new set of lights here at the Desert Horse Park for this arena. Again, part of the extensive renovations to the property here. See Top Blue having finished 5th in the Grand Prix here last week. And Andrew just keeping enough pace on here to keep up with that time. That's just going to take a little bit of thinking about, but he looks on the button so far, just cutting inside the Major League Island, as several have, just again saving that stride or so, that second or so, which gives him a little bit more manoeuvre on that line there. Caladay vertical, and then just got to take a little bit of the pace off down this line. Again, not much of a touch, but unfortunately it's going to count. Touch in front, but just on the 4, time-wise, might just get there. And either way, it'll be with a fence down. It's going to be a little bit over at 76.49. So just the one time fall there for Andrew Burns. And Sea Top Blue this time around, the 10-year-old for the Irishman. Still not quite so easy to crack this class so far. If you've got very close, we've seen, 3 of them on the one-time fault as well. And Canadians, Sam Walker now, Hamelian van der Hoek here. Also from the Evergate stables as well, the 14-year-old by Tangelo van der Zuterville. Now for the 19-year-old past team gold medalist 2019, the Young Rider Championships with Coralisa. Now has been popping those wins away so far this season. Nice win in Notomi with Evita, and a couple of wins there, in fact, as part of the 5-star classes. And also we saw wins in Traverse City this season and up on home ground in Canada as well. And literally a home show too in Caledon. Finished 7th in the Grand Prix with this horse there. And that's literally almost walking distance from their own property. Sam also with several of the competitive golf tournament for the riders here on Monday as well, as they just get to a few hours off, but then it was back to work again. It's a nice economical turn round there. Sam, belying his years, really got to grips with this level very fast. Edges out a little to the right there, but it gets some space here back to this butterfly Oxa. Just going to have to work there, just a little touch on the back bar. Just a fraction away, but from time he's good, and it's a really good round put together for Sam Walker. 74.06 puts him into the jump off. Second horse for the Evergate stables into that jump off now. 6 of them in. Sam Walker will be one of 2 to fly the flag for Canada at this stage, with Amy Miller and Truman in there, and now Sam Walker and Hamelian van der Hoek here. Charlie Jones now, the British rider who earlier this year moving across here to the USA. Running horse for Lindsay Maxwell. This is Geerko. Geerko the third, Van der Zielhoek, third, the 10-year-old Dutch bred by Arco the third. Arco, of course, which is the top horse ridden by Nick Skelton, family connection there, in fact. But his parents both been top riders themselves on the British squad. And here this week, Michael Jones and Ali Bradley is when she rode onto the European team, holding there, coming into the 5 stars this week. And I think this is possibly Charlie's first, it is Charlie's first 5-star show. Super young talent indeed. Again, one of the younger ones in the field, 22 years of age now. And getting a great opportunity here in the US. Just unfortunately the fence going down there. He actually put some nice wins together here in California back in September. And been over here competing in the international classes for the last few months. Jumped to the 2-star here last week. And certainly a decent enough start to their first 5-star. Finishing on the 4 there, 75.93. Charlie Jones and Geerko the third for the Dutch bred horse. Going back to the breeding of Kidam de Revel for Charlie. Just on the 4 faults. Nick Skelton and Laura Kraut here last week as well. And I say, family joining them, coming to see Charlie compete in his first 5-star. I've headed over from the UK to watch him this week. Unfortunately, not quite as warm as it was last week. Sun hopefully due to come back out tomorrow and over the next few days. It's certainly been dry, just a little bit cooler. Rowan Willis, rider who also spent a large part of his career in the UK. Billy Gilder, the 12-year-old by Billy Congo. And out of Dollar Day. Big tall ride for the big tall Australian. Rowan also on the teams last week. And for him, another one who's now to become based here in the US, but based in Ocala, Florida. Billy Gilder finishing 4th in the 2-star Grand Prix here last week. Again, not had too much exposure yet. Coming from the William Funnell stable. Of course, he rode Billy Congo, the sire of this, at the European Championships. Will Funnell did, rather than Rowan Willis, of course. Previous ride of Lucy Townley. Pairing that have only been together through the latter part of this year, since October. And again, didn't look much, but it just drops. Even a little bit late, so it wasn't much of a touch at all. Rowan here. Jumped a couple of the 5-stars so far this season. Mexico being one of them with this horse. And unfortunately last fence down as well. But we'll go again into the experience bank as a building combination together. I say only a matter of weeks together. 12 is going to be the score. 74.99 for Australian Rowan Willis and Billy Gilder this time around. Clear, 6 of those at this point. Kyle King now, and back to the West Coast. And Kyle, who's really had a superb year this season and really made a big impression on the jumping for the Major League. Actually, last week finished 2nd in the 2-star Grand Prix as well. Finished on the podium for the 5-star Grand Prix too, and has been winning here in the 2 stars over the last 2 weeks, but also in the 5 stars He's finished well too. Is also part of the teams for the Roadrunners, including that success in Monterrey-La Silla just a few weeks ago. Magic Mike for Elizabeth Killam, the 12-year-old by Zapatero, out of a mare by Doctro. Another pairing that started off the year well here in California, with wins here at the Desert Horse Park. Former rider Robert Blanchard of Ireland and Michael Murphy. Robert, who's competing here this week as well. And again, getting the measure of this course. Time-wise, I think we should just be about right. Yeah, it seems to be a long time for this last fence to come up, but he's going to be fine. Looks good, looks very good. One of the fastest round. Ah, and he's under 70 seconds, 69.97. Kept motoring all the way around there. Does it easily. It is Kyle King and Magic Mike producing the sparkles here tonight in California, and gives us the 7th of the clears and the first for the USA into that jump off as well. So the rider from here in California getting to fly the flag. So Kyle King joining Sam Walker, Katie Laurie, Eugenio Garza, Amy Miller, Narnasa and Mark Blumen as the clears so far. Now the hugely experienced Juan Carlos Garcia now rides for Italy, originally from Colombia. Twice Olympian, 4 times World Championship as well. Now riding for the Neil Jones stable. In fact, this one owned by the Poden Farms. Captain Jack, 12-year-old by Des Sanat. So it'll be a new string of horses for him in the latter part of this season. Took this horse in the recent World Cup qualifier in Las Vegas as well. Vegas being the first appearance for this pair together. Another one just unfortunately having the vertical down at the horse's head fence. Again, light enough touch to it. Now sit up. And just unfortunately doesn't make it across the back bar at the Woodland Double. Going to go home with a little bit of time as well. It is 8 jumping, 1 for time, 76.89. And on a total of 9 there for Juan Carlos Garcia and Captain Jack. Very easy to see the poles falling here this evening. A few light touches in there, just costing. So, 7 of them at the moment on the clear at this stage. So Bliss here's now Antidote de Mars. For the Bridgeside Farms of Las Vegas, Nevada, the 11-year-old by de Montesemi. Fabulous combination for those following, and of course started the season so well in the Nations Cups for Team USA. Now in recent weeks finishing 7th place in the Grand Prix here last week as well. And one that I'm sure will be doing battle throughout this week too to try and claim a bit more of that prize money. Several top 10s last week, including that Grand Prix finish. Grand Prix wins up in Michigan also. Finished top 3, one of the best 5-star Grand Prix finishes in Tommy back in October. Such a lovely pairing together. She's able to keep the pace up, jump with confidence. On this now 11-year-old by De Montesimi. Just, unfortunately, that drops. Just at the oxer there. Again, not too much that this pair need to learn, but I've jumped a lot of clears together. Time will be okay, I would think. And yes, it is 73.87, but just leaving them on the 4. Full fault still leaves them just in the money at the moment on the 12th spot with Antidote de Mals for Bliss Here's. At this stage, Ashley Bond in 11th on the 4. We've got those one-time falters, Paul O'Shea, Misty Cassar, and Luis Sabino Gonçalves, and then those 7 clears to return for the jump-off. Nikki Galligan from Ireland now, based here in the US as well, up in New York. Nikki and the Guardian Stables, Castellissimo. 10-year-old by Castellan, the Holsteiner for Nicky, who's having his probably best season so far. Started the season with a Grand Prix win here at the Desert Horse Park. Followed up with wins with Java's Miss Jordan at the Hampton Classic in the international classes there. 2nd place with that same horse here last week as well. Castellissimo getting a little bit more exposure as well after a good finish at the Greenwich International back in October. New show there on the turf. Again, pairing that haven't been together for too long. It's been a pairing that was made this year. Mavis Spencer having ridden this horse here in the early part of this year as well. Finished one in the 5-star in Socrates too. And again, just leans into that second part of the palm tree double. Just reaches at the second part there, just getting a little low on the way out, and for them it's 2 down 12, in fact 75.08 for Nikki Galligan and Castellissimo. So it is the 3 in total dropping around the course, and for them set to return, I think, for the teams too as well this week. Probably going to be Java's Miss Jordan, we'll see for that, but on the 12 this time, I say, for a new combination this season too for Nikki Galligan and Castellissimo. Mark Blumen heads up the clears so far, one of 7 into that jump off at the moment. Just around 10 left to go in the first round of this $72,900 welcome jump off tonight, sponsored by TALUS. Kristen van der Veen, Bull Runs Risen, and rose to the top to win here last week as well. Very good battle there with Erin Ballard and McLean Ward. Superb jumping on day 1 last week on the first day on the turf. really took it to the wire for the rider originally from Illinois, now based down in Florida. And going for that same potential start with the horse she rode to win last week. 15 years of age, the Dutch bred horse by Utopie. Again, quietly but efficiently around that corner. Just unfortunately that one going down though, so not going to be a part of it this time around. Starts to look for that next fence horse with the scope to just step through that line. Drops them into a nice quiet run down there. The hands go low and over the last, but it's going to be time to add there as well. Eased off a little in the end, finishing on a total of 5.77.24 there for Christian van der Veen. And bull runs risen for the US rider. One for the USA in the jump-off so far in Kyle King and Magic Mike. Little way to go yet. And Ali Leopold Moreno of the USA. Valentino du Soleil for the Odyssey LLC. First time into these 5-star classes. Of course, second week here at the Desert Horse Park. Another combination jumping in the World Cup qualifiers in the last few weeks. Another step up for them here for this week's opening of the 5-star classes. Just a fraction of hesitation there, just cost them a run. Taking a circle there. This would be the biggest set of courses in terms of starting the week that this pair have jumped before now. Tucks up nicely over the Major League fence. And settling into the round. Not too worried about time now with a fence down and a slide past, but this is a good one to build, I want to say, for experience for them. Handling the latter part of this course well. And there we go. It's a much better finish. Finishing on a good note there for Ali Leopold Moreno and Valentino du Soleil for the French-bred horse by Sandro Boy for the US rider, finishing on a total of 14. Jordan Cornell and the Land Farms Ariso. Land Farm of New Jersey, the 10-year-old Swedish-bred horse by Casal. He rode to win the Upperville Grand Prix earlier on this year. Another regular through the Major League Jumping Series this season. Also took him to wins in the 5-star in Calgary back in September. Just trying to steady the pace off. Just gets a fraction quick, but a horse with an interesting jumping style as well. There has a look at the fence, but every time just finds that scope, gets up, bascules over it. Wait, there they get it. Just unfortunately runs out for them there, and they have a fence down. Time should be okay, but unfortunately with a 4, it means they're sitting on the sidelines. And 73.35 will remain at the 4. We'll put them just inside the prize money end of things into 11th place at the moment for Jordan Coyle and Ariso, as they follows up from that Grand Prix win. Had a very good run in Upperville back in June. And of those clears, still 7 of them set to come back. Right about the same left to go in this class now. Caitlin Campbell going to be one of those. Based also now here on the West Coast. Started a career on the East Coast of the US. Second last week with Feel. And with Dandy last week as well. This HD Horses LLC's 10-year-old Chestnut by Douglas. Had some of her best runs, including in Montreuil-la-Sire with Palina Lescaut this season. Really started to build a nice string up around her. Has had good horses before now, but tended to be a little more singularly. Now really building up a nice set of horses around her. This former ride of Emily Williams. A new one for her this season. Best place coming in top 10 in the Grand Prix earlier on this season in Traverse City. And just increasing the pace to get across the Oxer. But then just got to be careful they don't get too far forward down here. Just a little touch of the Cabana Coast. And time might run close. It might feel a long way to this final fence. Might be just a little bit too far. We will see. 77.32 just leaves them on the one time. Cabana Coast back to the Butterflies. Lovely turn, but maybe just a little bit wider there. Leaves them on the one time there for Caitlin Campbell and Dandy. But just leaving all the fences up. Goes into 9th place, but 1 on the board. 1 of 4 on the one-time fault here this evening. And Margie Goldstein-Engel now. Royce, Gladewind Partners, 17-year-old by Cafe Olay. What a lovely combination they've been together. Win after win. And Royce still on fine form as we've seen from the last few weeks. Top 10 here last week as well in this equivalent class. Grand Prix winners in Traverse City back into August. And Margie just world class every single time. Just turns them away and then fires the buttons. Just easy down there. Just a little bit of pace in there, gets a fence down for them. Very tough. You ever sort of watch how the very best riders do this, they make what is an incredibly hard task look a lot easier than it is. Trying to come at the speed they come at, jump the fences and do it all with delicacy and with the technicality in it. It is one of the toughest sports. Drives off the corner there, gets the width. Then you see how that work comes into it, very quickly able to take the pace off, but just keep enough power over the second of the parts of the double. Last fence cleared. It's just going to leave them on the 4, unfortunately. Just that vertical coming for Margie. And Royce just leaves them on the 4, 74.85. Time was okay. And still the evergreen 17-year-old Royce just on the 4 faults. Puts them in 16th place with 5 left to come. And Jacqueline Steffens next, who's really climbed the ranks in 2021. Nice 5-star win for her here last week as well on the 13-year-old for the Eye Candy Jumpers by VDL Zorocco Blue. Jacqueline part of the team, as in Major League team for the Eye Candy Jumpers and the team for the Eye Candy Jumpers as a whole, as an equestrian unit. Nice win last week with Cat Ninja. And again, returning with that same horse again today. Cat Ninja been living more and more up to the name. Agile, quick, stealthy. Finished well in Tommy 2. That was down in Mexico. San Miguel de Allende to the local town. Beautiful spot that was. Jacqueline Steffens, who's had a couple of seasons on this ride now. Again, for her really being given the opportunity of moving up through into the 5-star shows through the Major League. Team coach, of course, Paul O'Shea working with her. Erica Hatfield, the backer of the Eye Candy Jumpers, really has produced a nice team this year in terms of ability to not just take on the team competitions, but really competitive within the 5-star individual class as well. Just again, another one having that fence down, not so, and a little clip at the back of the Cabana Coast. Not very hard to have one down in that line. And again, Jacqueline been really getting the confidence in these big classes all the way through now. Goes in, attacks, fights for it. Just going to pick up a little bit of time as well, 76.26. 5 in total for Canadian Jacqueline Steffens and Cat Ninja. I think she's possibly on the team as well this week. Don't have the team list in front of me right now, but there's been a key part of their team for the Eye Candy this season. Pretty sure she's on the squad this week too. On the 5 there, 76.76 for Jacqueline. So 7 clears at the moment, 4 left to go. I think we might just be 3 actually. Carl Cook, the Californian, with one of those. Carl Cook, Sina Osby's 14-year-old by Casal. Caillou 24. What a pairing this has been as well. Nice Grand Prix wins together this season. He was on the winning team. Actually made an appearance for the Roadrunners. In fact, for AIM United rather last week with Fessibel to take home a win in the team competition. Caillou, who was winner of classes at the National Horse Show this season, and of course has taken him to a number of Grand Prix wins, notably Traverse City, where he was picking them off with regularity right through the season. Finished the top rider through that series as well. Close up in the World Cup in Tryon at the Washington International Horse Show, which followed on from, I think he was second the year before as well. Won the Grand Prix the week before that. Works with the great French rider Eric Navet. Nice, lovely economical turn to get back to the Caladay vertical. Just having that one down the line. Again, that line all the time. Not a lot of room for error. Got to be the perfect balance of pace and power. Going to be one of the favourite combinations. Unfortunately, just not quite through to that next round. Finishing on the 474.40. Could get a good shot in the Grand Prix, though, this week. One to keep an eye on. Carl Cook and Caillou 24 just finishing on the 4 as we come into the closing stages of tonight's TALUS sponsored Welcome Jumpoff. $72,900 in the prize fund. Colombia, Egypt, Canada, Mexico, Australia and USA. All in that jump-off so far. Again, a nice mix of nations. Lyubov Koshutova now of Russia. And so this is going to be Paganini 170. An 8-year-old, the Hanoverian for Lyubov, has been moving this horse up into the 5 stars now. Again, very much the first drink of experience at this level for this horse. She herself has won big classes before now on a number of horses. Of course, she was originally back in part of the horse's career for Royce before going on to Marjangle. Again, this horse at the young end for taking on the 5-star classes, but it's a stepping stone end for them. Just has the Major League Oxer down. Now this is another good learning line for them. And she just puts a little bit of pressure on that down there to get to the end and tick the box. And looks a bit of distance off that Butterfly Oxer, and that could translate into trouble at the back bar here, but it doesn't. They find the scope there to get across. Coming home with time to add on the 8 at the moment, to say on an 8-year-old, and so it's going to be a total of 10 overall for them. Lyubov Koshutova and Paganini 170. So final combination to go. Surrey Gordon, Solanke and Zorro 108 for Tomboy Farms. Again of here in California for the rider riding internationally for Israel. Last out of the starting blocks in tonight's TALUS Welcome Jumpoff, $72,900 class. 7 clears at this point. The one just gets caught underneath that Major League Oxer. So it'll be 7 in all that go forward to the jump off. Six back and clips that back of the butterfly oxer. Just a little stumble there, stands up. And there we go, finishing with time to add as well. Total of 9 there, 77.98. It is going to be 9 for Surrey Gordon Solanke and Azora 108. So 7 go into the jump off. Mark Bloomham of Colombia, Shalane de Blondel, Nasa, Randy, Igor, Amy Miller and Truman, Eugenio Garza of Mexico with Contagio, Katie Laurie, Django II for the Australian, Sam Walker, Hamelian van der Hoek, and Kyle King, last to go, represents the home nation of the USA with Magic Mike. Can they produce something special? We will see. Join us in around 10 minutes' time as we'll take you into that jump off. As we launch into the jump off of tonight's big class, sponsored by TALUS, the welcome jump off, $72,900. Another tantalizing battle is set to run. Salivating at the start is going to be Colombia's Mark Blumen to dive in here. Shalane de Blondel, the 9-year-old by non-stop for Mark to kick things off with nice wins in Aiken in recent weeks, and now looking to speed round here after good finishes in Greenwich as well. Gave us the first of our clears. A new set of fences coming to the Adequan fence at fence 15. Just goes to cut across that and unfortunately drops low to it. What is the last fence in the previous round, or was the last fence in the previous round at 13. Then they're going to come at pace here to the double very quickly indeed. And Mark really nailing that, but unfortunately with that earlier fence down. And a spin back to 5A. Second part is taken away, and he's really got the foot to the gas down to the Major League fence, which is the last fence, of course, this time around, and just clips that one away as well. When it comes up very fast like that, it's not so easy. 37-32, and it'll be a couple down there, finishing on a total of 8 for Mark Bloom and Shalane de Blondel for the 9-year-old there. With the out of surprise de Blondel. Mark Bloom, though, have to give it a shot as the first out, and had a very good run at it, but unfortunately couple down on the way, but showing what kind of pace this pair have got, and just getting a little bit more experience there for them. Nael Nassa now and Igor van der Wittemore for the Evergate Stables. Now this should be well within their ability as well. That's a nice Grand Prix win for him last week, and 2 weeks ago, winning in Wellington on this horse. Went last week with Oaks Redwood too. And super talent. And this is where he could well show it here this evening. Just keeping the lid on everything. And now can go. Starting over what was the fourth fence. Again, you don't want too much pace coming into that first fence, because otherwise just getting too far adrift to what is the new fence with the golden horses' heads on course. Different one to the one we saw a little bit earlier on. Poles on it this time. Again, not so easy to get to 13. The dark colours there. And then they chase in here. Got to have confidence over that last part, which he does. Now he's really turning up. He's really up the pace in the last few as he can, and now he can take a chase down to the finish. Not going to count how many there. It's just going to be a fast group of strides to the last, and it's going to be clear in 40.90. And Nael Nassa and Igor van der Wittemore going now to the front. 13-year-old now heads the field for the Egyptian rider. So Nael Nassa leads the way, and Nael now in front, 40.90. So Nael leads the pack once again, as he did here in this arena last week. Amy Truman going to try and chase him down. She's had some superb finishes recently. Top 5 finishes in the 5-star Grand Prix with this horse as well. Truman for the Millbrook Farm and Overland. 12-year-old by Lord Cartago for the Canadian. And here we go with Amy. Amy, who could be key as well in that eye candy final round here tomorrow of the team competition. Gets a good shot in there, but just gets a little close to adequate fence. Room at 13. Now again, they've just got to come at this with confidence that they can ping that second vertical. They do. She just squeezes in to that left side. Maybe a touch wider there. Nael was very close up to 5A. And it's still going to be a very good round. It's not going to be quite fast enough, but it is a good one at 41.37. Also producing the clear there, Amy Miller and Truman to go into second place at the moment. So Amy Miller drops into second. Nael Nassa and Igor into the lead still 40.90. So Niall leads. Amy second, Mark Blumen in third at this early stage. 3 of the 7 gone. Following on from a good confident run last week, Eugenio Garza and Contago. That's a winning ride in the team competition on the turf. Niall leading the pack so far. Eugenio getting the cut across that first fence at 4. Neatly hurdles the vertical. And that looks like 9 down there to 13. Smoothly and I'd say efficiently so far, but again, if you come into that double with the pace you need, that's the danger of just getting you a little too far into that second part. Just coming home on the 4, and it's a good run for them. Again, takes the run at the last, but it's going to be that fence down to 41.47 for Eugenio and Contago for the Mexican. So he goes into 4th place. And Niall keeps the lead at the moment on 40.90 as they close in. What have we got left? Katie Laurie of Australia, Sam Walker of Canada, and Kyle King of the USA. So Katie Laurie, the Australian, Django the second, 10-year-old by Lordano. Now for the Australian Grand Prix winner. Now let's see what they can do here. Again, sets up for this first. They just want to start to cut across that fence, land lightly. His first few, just give them a little bit of care. Again, similar pattern to Eugenio Garza. This is the double, which if they're not careful, that vertical can just act as a bit of a speed bump. She handles it well, goes a little bit to the right. Maybe a touch slower, maybe deceptive. Now she's got to really put the foot to the floor if she's going to stand a chance. Not going to be faster than our current leader, but still a very good shot at it. And again, leaves a leg as they launch over the last 41.89, just leaving them on the 4 there. Goes into 3rd place for Australia's Katie Laurie and Django the second. Amy Miller stays in 2nd, 41.37. And Niall Nassar staying in front at the moment, 40.90 with Igor. Closer and closer towards the finish. So Sam Walker, Evergate Stables, Hamelian van der Hoek-Hever, 14-year-old by Tangela van der Zoethoven for the Canadian. Nice slice across the vertical. Now he's keeping the pace up down here. Looks like he just got the 8 out of there, 1 less. Last couple gone in the 9. Straight through the double. This is in with a chance. Evergate could get the top 2 here. Run for the finish. He's run. Just got to take a little bit of care to it. Leaves it up. It's a very good shot. 39.72. He'll get ahead. Sam Walker, Hamelian van der Hoek-Hever. Goes ahead of Niall Nassar and Igor. So 2 for the Evergate stable in 1 and 2 at the moment. Amy Miller of Canada in 3rd on Truman. Top 3, Canada, Egypt, Canada, with Australia now in 4th, Colombia now in 5th with 1 left to go. It's the final shot and the only shot for the USA in this jump off, and certainly not one to be discounted by any stretch of the imagination. It is Kyle King and Magic Mike, 12-year-old by Zapatero. Now, really leaving very little meat on the bone there. So, final run in tonight's $72,900 class. Sam Walker really putting the pace on at the final few. He came across that well, as did Kyle. Maybe a touch slower, though, just physically. Looks like Kyle just maybe a stride more there, but he's got a little bit to make up. Sam was straight there. Kyle just gets a little bit more on the turn. 39.72. I don't think he's going to get there. It's going to be a very good effort. He's going to take a real run at it. He could get seconds. He could be very close, though, and it's going to be 39.30. I take it back. He goes into the lead. Kyle King and Magic Mike really puts the pressure on at the finish. It looked as though he might not just get there fast enough, but he really was. Final run. Really good one then for Kyle King and Magic Mike. Produces something very special indeed. A delighted audience watching. And 39.30, he pulls the rabbit out of the hat. Magic Mike will be the winner tonight of the TALUS $72,900 welcome jump off. Sam Walker in the end in 2nd place with Hamillion, and Nael Nasser in 3rd for Egypt with Igor van der Wittemore. 4th place, Amy Miller and Truman. 5th for Katie Laurie and Django the 2nd. And Mark Blumen in 6th with Shalane de Blondel. Keeping the best till last, it is Kyle King. Bodes well maybe for the Roadrunners as well this week. But an almost home win, if you like. Kyle King for the USA will bring home the home nation with Magic Mike with a win. 39.30 to claim tonight's TALUS welcome jump off. That's just a taster of what's to come over the next couple of days. Tomorrow it is the team competition tomorrow evening as well, and then on Saturday it is the 5-star Adequan Grand Prix here from the Desert Horse Park as well. Make sure you join us for each of those. Take a look at the Major League Show Jumping app or websites to get those times of when those will all be taking place, and all the other classes as well you can tune in for on the live stream as well. Mavis Spencer and I will be taking you through tomorrow's team competition, the team final. Can Eye Candy hold on? Can they still look good at the end of the season? We will see. In the meantime, the man who reigns is King, Kyle King and Magic Mike.
So we will bring our top three back in the ring. And our top nations, USA, Canada in second, Egypt in third. Our rider right there in third place for Egypt, Naya. Second place, and that is the rider for Canada, Sam Walker. And our champion right there, Brendan Billboard, Magic Mike, Nicholas O'Connell, the rider for the USA, Kyle King. Again, our champion, Kyle King, Magic Mike, Sam Walker, Camilla Vanderhoek in second, Niall Nazar, Whitmore in third place. We'll have our wonderful guests join us for that win photograph taken with our champion. That is Kyle King for the USA and Magic Mike. As they take home top honors. Here in the TALUS FBI 5-star welcome. And Kyle, that was absolutely amazing. So the USA will the win here in the TALUS welcome. Kyle King and Magic Mike. Joining us, White Thomas and Gina Thomas. Just met all of our wonderful guests joining us here on the field. Our beautiful Grand Prix Stadium. Magic Mike, that is that pretty horse on my Elizabeth Pillow. We're going to top three right over there to the podium. Third place, and that is Niall Nazar. As Niall steps up onto the podium in third place. Second place, Sam Walker, that young rider for Canada, just 19 years of age. And our champion, well, there he is, Kyle King. They went to Kyle King, and he was aboard Magic Mike in the TALUS $72,900 our FBI 5-star competition. Sam Walker in second, $40 million Ivanhoe Cuba. Third, Alisar Igor Mora. David Miller for Canada. For Truman in fourth place. Fifth round for Australia. That is Keith Laurie and Jake go to sixth place. Mark Lumen for Colombia and Shane LeBron down. Humano Garza Perez. Montano in seventh. Eighth place to Luis Avilo Calvez and Argon de Belliar. Portugal. In ninth for the USA, Caitlin Campbell and Danny Denton. Fellowship for Ireland. For all. 11th, this is our Milo Jordan Emerson 12th. Jordan Coyle and Enrico. Last night, stepped off the field, so that's Sam Walker. He lays back over in our field in our tree round. And those two competitors right there, second and third. 19-year-old Sam Walker in second place for Canada. What a great young rider. And the rider for Egypt, Nayel Nassar in third. But again, our champion is Kyle King getting down to Jumpoff, who was last to go to Jumpoff. And it was all paid off with that winning time of 39.30. The rest of the day, we do have a 7:30 start time at the Bruins game tomorrow morning.
Sir, yes, sir. Come on. Get the fucking touchdown, bro. Fuck. Get the